Heyo, OmniDogs and OmniKittens. It's OmniDog from OmniDog's Vault with root beer reviews. And here's my root beer, is the second part of great non-superhero comics. Mmm, foamy. So, had a request, a couple of requests. What are some good non-superhero comic books? I'm the first one to stand up and raise my hand when somebody says, "Do you like superheroes?" I love them, and I always have loved them. There's lots of great books that feature no superheroes. Some of them are slice of life, some of them are science fiction, some of them are just works of fiction, autobiographical. But there's plenty of stuff out there, and I'm here to try and tell you what some of my favorites are. The first one, people have heard me talk about it a lot. Too Cool to Be Forgotten by Alex Robinson. This is a great little book that I love. He's trying to quit smoking, and he uses hypnotism to try and quit smoking. Through the hypnosis, he ends up going back to high school and reliving it. This is everybody's nightmare or favorite dream, to go back to high school and relive it. What would you do differently? Who would you ask out? Who would you not ask out? Would you speak up? Would you not speak up? Everybody remembers high school in different ways. I remember high school. Yes, they had high schools back when I was young. And he goes back but he's got his grown up brain in his teenage body. And it is just a really fun, funny, awkward, emotional, interesting story that I think everybody can relate to, because we've all been to high school and we all remember what those days were like. Too Cool to Be Forgotten is a very cool book. I highly recommend it. Nails what it's like to be a gawky teenager back in high school, only to relive it in a different way. The next book was recommended to me by my friend Matthew Dubay. I praise it to the stars because it's Castle in the Stars. The premise is, what if man journeyed into space in 1869, not 1969? This is a French novel, or I'm sorry, French graphic novel. Beautiful art. And those of you who have access to the French books, it's already up to book 5 or something. Unfortunately, I don't speak French. This is in English, thankfully. But it's a great steampunk adventure set in the late 1800s, about a woman who journeys into space and disappears. And then some clues are sent back as to where she might be. Um, I can't say enough about this book. This book is great. I can't wait for volume 2 in English to come out. It's by Alex Elise, and I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that since it's French. Um, but you've got a young king, you've got conspiracy, you've got a young dreamer, you've got all kind of steampunk uh, steampunk attributions. I'm not using the right word, but it's full of steampunky stuff. It's kind of a thin book, so you'll read it quickly, but you'll want to reread it because this is wonderful. This is what I love to see in a comic book, just fun, gripping adventure. And I love steampunk stuff, so this really captured everything that I love in a comic book. You will be happy if you get this book. You will look forward to next month, I think September 1918. No, that's not when I was born. September 2018 is when it is coming out, which is next month as of right now. And I'm pretty excited for that, to read Castle in the Stars, the second part. This is called The Space Race of 1869, the first book. The next book that does not feature superheroes is, I believe, just won an Eisner, and deservedly so. It's by Marjorie Liu, and it's Monstrous. Now, it does have also has steampunk elements in it. It's got a little Art Deco beauty in it. Actually, it's um, not complicated, but it goes a lot of different places with a lot of different characters. So I'm going to read off the back of the book to describe um, exactly what happens because they sum it up better than I can. I'm kind of tongue tied right now, anyway. So, set in an alternate world of Art Deco beauty and steampunk horror, Monstrous tells the epic story of Maika Halfwolf, a teenage survivor of a cataclysmic war between humans and their hated enemies, the Arcanics. In the face of oppression and terrible danger, Maika is both hunter and hunted, searching for answers about her mysterious past as those who seek to use her remain just one step behind, and all the while, the monster inside her awakens. Look at this artwork. This is some serious artwork by Sana Takeda. It's maybe got a little touch of manga-ness to it. The coloring is beautiful. This is pretty much a perfect comic book. There are two trades out right now that go for issues 1 through 12. Um, this young lady kicks major ass with talking wolves and talking cats and all kinds of interesting elements going on in it. This is the perfect comic book. I don't see how you could get any better than this writing, this art, this concept. You can't get better than this book. No superheroes, but there are heroics in it, and it can be dark at times. But it also can be light and fun and funny. But it's a serious story told with magic and with fear of things that go bump in the night. As I say, this is the perfect comic. I mean, whatever awards it got, it deserves. And do yourself a favor and pick this book up, Monstrous. Now, the next book has so much going on in it that I'm going to read from the back again because they sum it up better than I could. It's got really, really great art for the first two books. Pretty darn good art for the third book. They change artists, but the art is spectacular in the first two and merely very good in the third. But the writing is amazing throughout the whole thing. It's Gail Simone's best work ever, in my opinion. Ever, ever, ever. That's Clean Room. And I'm going to read off the back of this because they do a better job telling you what's going on in it than I could. Uh, let's see. Where am I reading from? I'm reading from the second book. Astrid Mueller is a world famous horror novelist. Let's see if I can show you because there's some parts that I can't show you. A world famous horror novelist, a publicly reviled huckster, and the all powerful leader of a secretive cult whose tentacles reach into every sphere of American life. She's also humanity's last hope. You see, her organization's apocalyptic beliefs are neither fraud nor fiction. Ever since she was a child, Astrid has been able to see the extra-dimensional entities preying on our unsuspecting world, and she's used every ounce of her fame and fortune to stop him. But what if that's not enough? When a shocking attack takes the seemingly indestructible Astrid down, it's up to reporter Chloe Pierce and Mueller's inner circle to root out the conspirators who are plotting against her and the entire human race. This is Gail Simone's opus. It's her epic. It's her major life's work. This is from somebody who loves Secret Six. I'm telling you, this is some kind of book. It is amazingly written. I couldn't get enough of it. It's 3 volumes and done, so it's 1 through 3, and you will love this book. It's out there. It is out there. I'm going to tell you right now, it's out there, but it's well worth the read. I have great respect for Gail Simone, and I will tell you that this is the best thing she's ever written. Highly recommend Clean Room. I've talked about him before in the previous video about non-superhero comics that are good. You just can't get better than this team of Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. And The Fade Out is a crime mystery set in the Cold War, late 40s, early 50s. Can't show you that part. I can show you this part because all it is violence. I can't show you any nudity because I don't dig that, showing it on the air. Um, but this is the Cold War back when there was communist hysteria in the United States, so very early 50s, late 40s. It's a mystery. It is a well written mystery with great art. These guys are an amazing team, and I loved this book, The Fade Out. I loved it so much I gave it to my non comic book reading sister for Christmas a couple years ago, and she dug it. So I say to you, read this book. It's a great book. It's a great mystery. It really had me wondering what was going on, and he pulled all the pieces together at the end. It's some kind of great read, The Fade Out. And we're going to pause so I can have a little frost top. Here's a book that lots of people talk about, but it's fun and funny, and no superheroes in this book. But it's about girls going to college, Giant Days. They go to university. I'm guessing it's somewhere in Britain, and the all the kind of drama and comedy and antics that they get into in college. It's just fun. It is a fun, funny, interesting book that is highly readable. You can read. I think there's 6 books of it out. You can burn through all 6 in one sitting. That doesn't mean it's shallow. It's very deep, very well written with fun art, and I love Giant Days. Can't say enough about it. It is just a lot of fun. Yeah, I think you should pick it up and get into it. Get into these girls' antics while they're in college. I love this book, Giant Days. Lots of people love this book, so I'm not alone in recommending it. I am alone in recommending this next book because not too many people know this book, and I'm trying to change that. I've talked about it a lot, and I'll talk about it again. But this is a book by Emmanuel Guibert. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing it, but it's called How the World Was. And it is Alan Cope, a man growing up in the 20s in California. And it's kind of simply told, but it just tells you how the world was back then and what it was like for a little boy to grow up in Southern California, his memoir. It's brilliantly retold. It's brilliantly written. This book doesn't get enough praise, and I don't think it's been discovered enough. It's really, really good. Um, I, I guess it doesn't get enough attention because maybe the writer is French and the topic is growing up in the 20s. So this is about as opposite of superhero as you can get. But it's so well told. It's really compelling. It's a slice of life that's really well told and really compelling and very interesting and engrossing. I just love the whole narrative of it. Really good book. I highly recommend this book, How the World Was. And then there's a follow up to it, Alan's War, which is about Alan Cope's um, uh, experiences in World War II. It's late at night and I'm fumbling for words. How the World Was, A California Childhood. Great book. And now one of my favorite books of all time. I love this book. Riley Moore loves this book. The Elting Vil Club, comic book science fiction fantasy horror role playing club. These this is by Evan Dorkin, and it is just a hoot and a half. It's about these dorks that have the Elting Vil Club, where they have a club. They're constantly fighting. They go to the grocery store and tear open packages of Wonder Bread to get the trading cards. They're into role playing. They're into science fiction. They go to all the movies. They collect all the Twinkies that have a card in them. Um, they want to work in a comic book store. They think it's the greatest thing ever. They love zombies, zombie apocalypse. They go to zombie marathons. Uh, but they're so antisocial that they're constantly fighting, and it is just a laugh riot. This book, it is hilarious, and um, it just gets nerdiness to the exact, goes right to the heart of nerdiness. I love this book, and it is a joy to behold. This is Evan Dorkin's masterpiece in my mind, the Elting Vil Club. And finally, on non superhero books that are comic books, that's another way of saying comic books that don't feature superheroes in them. Here's a fan favorite that lots of people already know. It's being turned into a television show, which is exciting. And it's supposed to be by some quality people. Locke and Key. This book is about a mysterious house that has a bunch of keys in it that unlock various secret doors, and a family moves into it. And it's what happens to the family, what happens to the people of the town when these various keys get used in these various places. I'm oversimplifying it, but it's one of the best horror books that you're going to read. It is, I thought it was good and scary. It made my hair stand up a couple times. It does a really good job of making you uneasy. It does a really good job of making you uncomfortable. It puts you on the edge of your seat. The art is great. And it deals with Bodhi primarily, but it also, who's the little kid. That was book 3. Let me show you some of book 1. But it deals with this house and these various keys and the mysterious entities that are trying to get the final key and what it unlocks and things like that. It's two teenagers and their little brother and an overwhelmed mother that inherit this house with these crazy keys and the crazy doors and the places that it go. Well, I don't want to show you that because that reveals something. This doesn't reveal anything. Um, but it's got some great twists and turns in it, and it's a good spooky read. Very good spooky read. I highly recommend it if you like horror slash mystery slash scary occult stuff. That's right up my alley. So I hope the TV show is well done because it is a great book written by Joe Hill, illustrated by Gabriel Rodriguez, and you can't get better than Lock and Key. That is just one of the better books written. Does not feature superheroes. Very scary, very fun. I enjoyed it a lot. So thank you for watching. Subscribe if you can. Leave a comment. And I will respond to all comments. I appreciate them all. And I appreciate my viewers. Thank you for watching. Peace and love. Peace and love.